Good morning, guys. I hope everyone's having a great week so far. Last time we did Numbers 13 and 14, where Moses sends spies, essentially, or scouts, one from each camp, to check out the promised land. Caleb and Joshua came back saying that this is a great land and that we can be fruitful in it. It's full of milk and honey. The other 10 they were scared, had fear, some exaggerated, there's giants and there's this and that, and we can't go. And so God says, well, we're not going to let the older fearing generation go in, and I'm going to keep you in the wilderness. So that was 13 and 14. He does promise that Joshua and Caleb will make it in, and the next generation are going to inherit the promised land. So let's jump into 15 and see what they have to say about it. So, chapter 15 in Numbers. The Lord said to Moses, "Speak to the Israelites and say to them, after you enter the land I am giving you as a home, and you present to the Lord food offerings from the herd or flock as an aroma pleasing to the Lord, whether burnt offerings or sacrifices for special vows, or free will offerings or festival offerings, then the person who brings an offering shall present to the Lord a grain offering of 1/10 of an ephah of the finest flour mixed with 1/4 of hin of olive oil. With each lamb for a burnt offering or the sacrifice, prepare 1/4 of a hin of wine as a drink offering." Just the opening line of that, it says, after you enter the land I am giving you as a home. God is promising them still. So he's not saying if I deliver you, he's saying when. But they have to stay holy, and he's trying to keep them clean and not be perverted or corrupt or mixed with some of the other pagans. And so this is part of it. He's really like honing in and pruning the branches of these people because he wants them to remain holy. With a ram, prepare a grain offering of 2/10 of an ephah of the finest flour mixed with 1/3 of a hin of olive oil and 1/3 of a hin of wine as a drink offering. Offer it as an aroma pleasing to the Lord. When you prepare a young bull as a burnt offering or sacrifice for a special vow or a fellowship offering to the Lord, bring with the bull a grain offering of 3/10 of an ephah of the finest flour mixed with 1/2 a hin of olive oil, and also bring a hin of wine as a drink offering. This will be a food offering, an aroma pleasing to the Lord. Each bull or ram, each lamb or young goat is to be prepared in this manner. Do this for each one, for as many as you prepare. So for those of you who have ever taken communion, you see right here, and you know about like Jesus' Last Supper. This is way before, but they're bringing a wine offering and a lamb, or an animal for a blood sacrifice, and then they're also bringing a bread sacrifice, which down the road Jesus is going to use for the Last Supper, and then inevitably himself as the lamb that to be slain and the ultimate sacrifice for all of us. But this is kind of preluding into that. Because there has to be a sacrifice for sin. And that's the basis of all of this. You sin, now you have to pay for that. Everyone who is native born must do these things in this way when they present a food offering as an aroma pleasing to the Lord. For the generations to come, whenever a foreigner or anyone else living among you presents a food offering as an aroma pleasing to the Lord, they must do exactly as you do. The community is to have the same rules for you and the foreigner residing among you. This is a lasting ordinance for the generations to come. You and the foreigner shall be the same before the Lord. The same laws and regulations will apply both to you and to the foreigner residing among you. So this is like early evangelism, because technically a lot of the people that left with the Hebrew people, when they left Egypt, there was a lot of people that weren't part of those tribes or descendants of Jacob. And they came anyway, and they are essentially like the Gentiles, but they are being, brought into, encumbered by the Hebrew laws, and God's making them holy too. And so he's bringing them in and saying, you're going to do the same thing as my people because you're my people now too, and you will be holy, and you are going to do these sacrifices and consecrate yourself and be holy. And so he's not singling them out, the whole Jew versus Gentile. It literally says that the same laws and regulations will apply both to you and the foreigner residing among you. I mean, you are the same people. So, take heart in that there's no one excluded from God's love and God's grace and God's holiness. The Lord said to Moses, "Speak to the Israelites and say to them, when you enter the land to which I am taking you, and you eat food of the land, present a portion as an offering to the Lord. Present a loaf from the first of your ground meal, and present it as an offering from the threshing floor. Throughout the generations to come, you are to give this offering to the Lord from the first of your ground meal." It's like a tithe, right? Like your first tenth. So they're giving the first loaf, the first of their harvest to the Lord. Now, if you as a community unintentionally fail to keep any of these commands the Lord gave Moses, any of the Lord's commands to you through him from the day the Lord gave them and continuing through the generations to come, and if this is done unintentionally without the community being aware of it, then the whole community is to offer a young bull for a burnt offering as an aroma pleasing to the Lord, along with its prescribed grain offering and drink offering, and a male goat for a sin offering. The priest is to make atonement for the whole Israelite community, and they will be forgiven, for it was not intentional, and they have presented to the Lord for their wrong a food offering and a sin offering. The whole Israelite community and the foreigners residing among them will be forgiven, because all the people were involved in the unintentional wrong. But if just one person sins unintentionally, that person must bring a year-old female goat for a sin offering. The priest is to make an atonement before the Lord for the one who erred by sinning unintentionally. And when atonement has been made, that person will be forgiven. One and the same law applies to everyone who sins unintentionally, whether native-born Israelite or a foreigner residing among you. But anyone who sins defiantly, whether native-born or foreigner, blasphemes the Lord and must be cut off from the people of Israel, because they have despised the Lord's word and broken his commands. They must surely be cut off. Their guilt remains on them. So, the chapter prior, when Caleb and Joshua come back, and then the other ones who are living in fear and freaking out after they've seen all the miracles anyway, God's like, I'm not letting you in until you absolutely are relying on me and your faith. Mind you, the whole time they have a cloud by day and a pillar of fire at night. They've already seen these miracles of manna. They've seen miracle coming from the raining flour. They've seen quail just come in by the millions and just pick them off, knee high when they needed meat. And so they've seen and they saw the Red Sea open, when Pharaoh was after them, and still they're afraid. So God is like, until you fully commit to me, I'm going to keep honing and sharpening and making you rely on me fully and wholly and know that I'm the Lord. While the Israelites were in the wilderness, a man was found gathering wood on the Sabbath day. Those who found him gathering wood brought him to Moses and Aaron and the whole assembly, and they kept him in custody because it was not clear what should be done to him. Then the Lord said to Moses, "The man must die." Bless me. The man must die. The whole assembly must stone him outside the camp. So the assembly took him outside the camp and stoned him to death as the Lord commanded Moses. God's serious about this. He says, take the Sabbath off, and this is a holy day. It's so crazy. There's a lot of studies coming out right now about it's just mentally and emotionally healthy for us to unplug from the phones and the screen time and the laptops and the news cycle and just kind of exist in our world. And like there's secular science proving that, but we go all the way back here and God's like, no, we call it the Sabbath, like we've had this I've been telling you all this for, thousands and thousands of years. You need to unplug and not work and spend a day with me. So anyway, this guy breaks it knowing it's the law, and God is trying to say, look, you need to rely on me. There will be wood, there will be food, just rely on me and take your day off and give it to me. So this guy broke it, and God says we're not going to put up with any of that, because if one starts, then you're all going to start. So they kill him. The Lord said to Moses, speak to the Israelites and say to them, throughout the generations to come, you are to make tassels on the corners of your garments with a blue cord on each tassel. You will have these tassels to look at, and so you will remember all the commands of the Lord, that you may obey them and not prostitute yourselves by chasing after the lust of your own hearts and eyes. Then you will remember to obey all my commands and will be consecrated to your God. I am the Lord your God who brought you out of Egypt to be your God. I am the Lord your God. So the last part of this, he wants them to wear tassels just to remember, as a reminder, don't give in to lust, don't give in to your sin, remember the Sabbath and keep it holy. So these are like outer reminders of them that they are God's people and that God is asking them to be holy. So that's chapter 15. It's basically on supplementary offerings and God trying to keep everyone holy. I will see you guys soon. Love you and have a great rest of your week.